Dragon Ball Z Kakarot has brought us another very interesting retcon. Now, I've been saying for the past couple of weeks that even though Toriyama is involved in this game, we don't know how much Toriyama's involvement actually is besides just helping them out. And there are several other games that Toriyama has helped out with in the past. However, one of the big points that people have been bringing up is that Toriyama is introducing new retcons to Dragon Ball that weren't there in the original. Anything negative necessarily. There's tons of retcons in the series. Many of them are good retcons and interesting ones. This one right here that I want to discuss today is a little bit of a weird one, but I don't think it's really that bad, nor do I think it's really that offensive. And this is one where I actually do believe it came from Toriyama. Now, I can't confirm that. So, in early Dragon Ball, there were, for a while, there was a lot of anthropomorphic characters in the series. Now, that, of course, means, for lack of a better term, the word furry. A humanoid animal type of character. You know, like Oolong, for example, being a pig. And we have, of course, most famously, King Furry, who is, for a long time, many fans, including myself, just assumed that these characters were just part of Toriyama's world. I mean, you've got spaceships, you've got dinosaurs, you've got aliens. Toriyama has a very huge imagination when it comes to his world in Dragon Ball, Dr. Slump, and his other manga. And it's interesting because as the series got deeper into like Dragon Ball Z during the Cell and Buu saga, we saw less and less of these characters. The King of the World did make some cameos later on, but they weren't really as prevalent as they were in early Dragon Ball. And many of us thought it was because Toriyama just kind of forgot about them and just drew regular humans. Well, in this new retcon from Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, we find out that there's a drug that existed at some point in the distant past that people would take and transform into what was called a Beast Man or Beast Men. And for a while, this drug was a fad where you take it and you become an anthropomorphic character. And we've seen these so many times in Dragon Ball, and this is the new explanation as to why they even exist. So the reasoning as to why there are less and less this mysterious drug had died out and people just stopped taking it. So again, this is one of those retcons that to me is very harmless, and it does, in a way, it makes sense to me that this be the reason why, even though it's a very unusual reason, and it does kind of take away from the mysticism of the Dragon Ball world, at least to an extent. But that kind of started in Dragon Ball Z. You know, in Dragon Ball, you had demons and monkey boys and these furry characters, and it was all very magical and mystical. Then Dragon Ball Z explains, like, well, no, Piccolo's not really a demon, he's a Namekian, and Goku's actually an alien. These are all sort of retcons that Toriyama had come up with. They do not contradict. That's one thing we got to clarify. Retcons do not always have to contradict the past. In fact, many times in Dragon Ball they don't, but it does kind of explain things, you know, in a more thorough way. They're not all bad. It's just things that we didn't know about that are now being explained. What do you think about this explanation? Do you think it makes sense? Do you have issues with it? Let me know in the comments, and I will continue to put out more DBZ Kakarot videos because the game's giving us a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of material, and there's a lot more Dragon Ball explanation videos. Thank you once again. I appreciate the support. Leave a like for the YouTube algorithm, and if you like this video, again, leave that like and check these out as well.